Good afternoon. My name is Jenny. I am a naturalist. Thanks so much for attending our Beginners Tips and Tricks for Photography Facebook Live event. We're going to start just with a few housekeeping pieces of information, and then we will move into a short message from the Friends of the Sherburne National Wildlife Refuge, and then we will move into the program so that everybody can see what you need to know for photography. So as far as housekeeping, get my screen up here. So this video will be recorded. So if you want to watch it later, you can certainly do that. We'll post it on the Facebook page for you. We will also provide, since we have a youth photography contest, the entries are due by October 9th. We'll give more information later. But the link will be posted in the comment section so you can get to that easily if you want your child to enter in the contest. And if you end up having any questions during this time, you can post them anytime. We'll answer them either at the end, or if we have time during, we will do that too. So I'll be the moderator, and I will move it over to Sue Hicks, who is a member of the Friends of Sherburne, and she's going to provide some information about some items for the Friends. So Sue, I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you. And hello, everybody. This program is brought to you by the Friends of Sherburne. And who are the Friends? We're a nonprofit that supports the refuge in many ways, but a couple of them are that we help to fund the Friends education program and also to fund free activities like this program, which normally would be a live one at the Learning Center, as well as free events like the Wildlife Festival, which we very much hope will be back next year. Well, right now, if Miss Jenny can switch the slide for us, we have something special to offer to young naturalists. And these are naturalist backpacks for kids. Well, kids can be any age. I mean, I'd like one of these things myself. They've got really neat things for the naturalist in training, like there's a critter box, there is a magnifying glass, a bug net, and both of these packs have a pack of naturalist activity cards. The junior naturalist pack has a really nice nature journal and a book about tracks and colored pencils and a bug box. So these are available by emailing sherburnefriendsstore@gmail.com right there on the screen, and you can arrange curbside pickup. Now, if you happen to be, or someone in your family happens to be a Friends member, you get 10% off. That's $3. So if you'd like to join for as little as $20 a year, you can do that and go to exploresherburne.org. Now, we hope to see you out at the refuge using your naturalist pack or taking a hike or whatever. And these are great to use in your own backyard too. So we hope that you'll be able to enjoy the refuge in these nice, cool fall days. So long, enjoy the show.
Thanks so much, Sue. So we will move into our program proper now, and I will introduce Ranger Elena. She will be doing our program today. And Elena, I'll hand it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Jenny. Like Jenny said, I'm Ranger Elena, and I'm the Visitor Services Manager at the Refuge. Today we are going to focus on some easy tips and tricks to take your nature photos from great to fantastic. And this will be especially handy if you're planning on entering the youth photography contest that Jenny mentioned, and we'll get to details about that at the end of the program today. We're going to start off by defining nature photography. So what I want you to do is take a moment to think about what that means to you while I take a drink of water. Nature photography has a wide range of subjects, from plants to wildlife, to often overlooked insects, to spectacular landscapes. And if we can go to the next slide, you can see kind of a wide array of what can be included within nature photography. So there's endless options and opportunities just waiting for you out there. So if we go to the next slide, we're going to talk equipment. So a big question people often have, or a misconception, is that you need a big camera for nature photography. And while that can help, it's not necessary. Anything that can take a photo, from a phone to a tablet to a point and shoot camera, can get you a great photo. And it's more about how you take the photo versus what you take the photo with. So the tips that we talk through today are relevant no matter what you're using for photography. So don't let the lack of a big fancy camera keep you from nature photography. Okay, so let's go the next slide. We're going to start with our first tip of the day. We're going to go through 3 tips today. Trying to keep it simple and just highlighting some really key ways to change up your photo. And the first one is just going to be trying a different view. Often we take photos when we're standing straight up and we're looking sideways, or we're looking down at our subjects. And while that can be great, you can get an unusual perspective by trying a different view. For instance, if you look at this gray tree frog and you get this side profile, you can see all of the details of the frog. You get to see the side of his eye, the hands holding the stem, and just how he's kind of perched on there precariously. I mean, he seems fairly comfortable. It just looks like he could fall off. And you might not get that same perspective or feeling if you were to take the photo from the top down and just see the top of the frog. If we move on to the next slide, with that, a different perspective can just mean getting close. Get closer to what you're trying to take your photo of. And all 3 of these flower photos are examples of how getting closer can reveal the details and the beauty of each individual plant. In the bottom left, we see penstemon, and you can see inside each flower and some of those lines that make the runway for a bee when they're coming into the penstemon. And these flowers typically point down. And so if you were taking a photo of it when you're standing, you might miss the beautiful opening of that flower. In the top right, we have a photo of goldenrod. And goldenrod's bright yellow is beautiful, no matter how you take the photo. But when you take it at a distance, you miss the details of each individual flower that you can see here. And a bonus, any insects using goldenrod. This time of year, goldenrod is a popular plant for pollinators. And so you'll see anything from bees to butterflies to beetles utilizing goldenrod. And same thing for the bottom photo on the right of a butterfly weed. Just getting close shows you the detail of each individual flower and makes it more impactful. On the next slide, you'll see a comparison of taking a far out shot versus a close up. So both of these photos are taken at the same place. And the one on the left is beautiful. If you're looking to capture fall colors and all of the different gradients of that, then that photo definitely captures that perspective. You see the red, the yellow, the green, there's some texture added in there. But the photo on the right has a little bit more punch. It's a close-up of the bunchberry, and you can see the difference in color and on each individual leaf. You can see the veins on each leaf and things like that. So just taking a closer look and a closer shot of your subject can give you a step up. And let's go to our next slide for a different perspective. Often kind of what we talked about with the first slide is just changing how you're looking at your subject. And a great way to do that is to get low. You know, if you're comfortable laying on the ground, it's just fun to see things in a different way, to look at the underside of a mushroom and those gills that are hidden if we look at it from the top down, to look at the texture of a flower or seed head from the side, or to spot a tiny woolly bear inching across a path. You know, you can get a better view of it that way. And while we want to look down, we also want to look up. You can miss things flying overhead. So make sure, you know, to use your natural skills and observation to keep an eye on what's going on around you. So don't forget to look up. And our last tip, thing for changing your perspective is thinking about potentially turning your camera. If you're using a point and shoot camera, you're typically going to be taking that horizontal photo. If you're using a phone, you're often going to take it vertically. But depending on what you're taking a picture of, turning the camera can change how the photo looks. So I challenge you to try that the next time you're out. Whatever you're taking a photo of, you know, take it your normal way and then turn the camera. Okay, so our second tip this afternoon is to avoid the bullseye. And what I mean by that is that if we're taking a picture with one main subject, as these photos on this slide all have, we want to avoid putting that subject in the middle of the photo. So just like if you think of a dartboard, the middle is called the bullseye. So we want to avoid putting our subject in the middle or in the bullseye. And if we overlay a grid on these, you can see that each of these subjects is not in the center of the photo. It's kind of at the corner of that middle square, one of the corner edges. And giving it, you can see with the mammal on the top right, the duck there, and then the pelican, its head is in the top right corner. So that's a goal, just to shift your subject from the center. And if we're getting fancy, this is called the rule of thirds. And you can see here, if you look at this photo of the kingbird, it's not in the center. It's down in the bottom left. And by that, it makes the photo that much better. So just shifting the subject from the center and avoiding the bullseye. This same principle can be applied to landscapes. And so you can see in this view here of ring-necked ducks in northern Minnesota, you can see all those little dots are ducks, by the way. You can see that where the sky meets the tree line, that's not in the center of the photo. You know, our instinct is to split the photo in half and put that line right down the middle. But again, I'm going to challenge you to shift that. So one portion of your photo takes up 1/3 and the other takes up 2/3. So if we overlay the grid on this, you can see that the sky takes up almost 2/3 of this photo, giving it a good gradation between it. And we're going to look at one more landscape photo. And this one has a blue sky with a tree line, and then in the foreground or in the front, we see beautiful prairie flowers in bloom from earlier in the year. And so I want you to look at this and see if the line where the sky meets the prairie is in the middle of the photo. And I want you to think about which takes up more space in the photo. Is it the sky or is it the prairie? We'll take just 1 second. Okay, so if we overlay the grid on it, we see that the sky takes up about 1/3 of the photo, and the prairie, which has the most interesting and colorful dynamic to this photo, takes up 2/3. So I agree with this photographer. I think that's the better way. Sometimes you want to think about what is more interesting and should take up more of your photo. Okay, we are going to shift to our last tip of the day. And this is to think about the background of your photo. So we can be so busy looking at what we want to take a photo of and getting exactly the right moment that we sometimes forget what's behind our subject or in the background of our landscape. So if you look at the photo in the bottom left, that is the Oak Savannah Learning Center Prairie. You can see the subject in this. It's more of a landscape photo, but you could consider the purple lead plant and the black-eyed Susan in the front of the photo. You could consider that the subject. And if you look at what's behind the subject, you see more prairie, the tree line, and a beautiful sky filled with puffy clouds. At a different location, and the photo just to the right of it with buildings in the background, you see the cattails and prairie in the front of the photo, and behind it you see buildings, people, and power lines. And so that might not make the best background for your photo. But if you're in that location and you happen to turn around and take a picture of the prairie going the other way, you'd have a natural background, and that would improve the quality of your photo. So think about what's in the background. Same principle for the photos on the right. You can see if you look at the photo in the bottom right, there's flowers in there. It's a pollinator garden, but your eye might be drawn to the fact that there's a driveway, there's a road, and that there's a trailer. Maybe not what you want in your nature photo. And so instead, walk around to the other side of the garden and take close-ups. And so these other two photos are taken in the same garden, but you wouldn't know that a driveway or a road was right next to it. And I think that just elevates the photo that you're taking. We'll look at one more example of this. These are both photos of gulls, obviously taken in different places. And you can see that the gull in the bottom right has a stunning background. This photographer had a great day with that beautiful pink sunset behind the gull, very natural, almost like a portrait. And you see the gulls on the upper left. They're hanging out on a dock, a man-made dock. And the photo on the left, you know, there's always a time and a place to take photos. Sometimes we take photos for memories. And with that, you know, the background doesn't matter as much if you just want to remember that moment. But photos can also, if you're looking to take a good nature photo, those man-made elements in the background are distracting. And so if you can find a way to take a photo and reduce some of those distractions, that'll make it even better. And a fun fact before we summarize these tips and tricks that I like to share, a personal fun fact, is that just if you needed, that seagulls are not an actual bird. There is no such thing as a seagull. There are a lot of different types of gulls. In Minnesota, we mostly see ring-billed gulls, but there is no such thing as a seagull. So I just wanted to share that fun fact with you. Moving on, we're going to look at the tips and tricks we looked at today. So when you're looking to get out and work on your nature photography, think about getting a different view and looking for that unusual perspective. Try to avoid the bullseye and shift your subject from the center of the photo to using that rule of thirds. And as well, think about trying to incorporate a natural background. Some naturalist skills that can help you with your nature photography include observation. You know, if you can keep an eye out, listen and look, move slowly. Those are all things that will enhance your nature photography. Patience is a key thing, and going out often. Nature doesn't, you know, sometimes you have to be in the right place at the right time. And so the more you go out, the more opportunities you have. We're going to move on and talk a little bit about the photography contest. So this is an annual photography contest that the Refuge and the Friends of Sherburne hosts, open to K through 12 students. Everyone can submit one photo to the contest and there's no entry fee. There are multiple prizes awarded for the photography contest, with the first place being awarded a $50 cash prize. And entries are due by October 9th. And you can find entry forms both on the Refuge website and you can pick one up at Refuge headquarters at the message board and brochure box right in front of the building. And with that, we're gonna move to questions, and I can always talk more about the photo contest if folks have specific questions about that.
All right, awesome. So it looks like Elena, we had one question pertaining to the youth photo contest.
Yeah.
It says, does the photo have to be taken during a certain time frame? And they said, like in 2020, for example.
So no, that is a great question. I forgot to mention that that the photo does need to be taken on the Refuge, but does not have to be taken in 2020. We encourage you to take it in 2020 because it gets you out to the Refuge, and we can all use some more outside time these days. But it can be anytime on the Refuge. And especially if you have winter photos, we often get very few or no winter photos. So it could give you a leg up to get out in that season.
Awesome, yeah, cool. I'm just peeking here. I don't see any other questions right now. I don't know, do you have any special places on the Refuge that you like to take photos at, Elena?
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of places to get out on the Refuge. And I'll talk about some of mine, but I'll also encourage folks to watch the recording of the Off the Beaten Path that was that Ashley presented last Thursday. And because she highlighted some locations on the Refuge that aren't as well traveled, so kind of off the beaten path. But some of my favorite places, I think, are the Oak Savannah Learning Center trails. There's just the diversity of wildflowers in the prairie there is spectacular. And you get a good combination of prairie, wetlands, and Oak Savannah. So I think, and it's all within a short hike. So that's one of my favorite spots. In terms of architecture, I like the Brand Bridge, which is on the northern side of the Refuge. It's one of our fishing access points, just because I like that older style bridges, but not necessarily maybe as nature-y.
I don't think I've been to the Brand Road Bridge, but I certainly love the Oak Savannah Learning Center trails. They're some of my favorite places to take plant photos.
Yeah, there's great great options there. And it's always changing. I mean, especially if you like to take photos of prairie flowers, just because there's such a succession throughout the summer.
Yep.
Every week there's something new.
Awesome. Well, I don't see any other questions popping up yet. I don't know if we want to talk about the upcoming event we have this coming week, or...
Yeah, I can talk a little bit more about the photo contest if you want to go to that slide, and then we'll talk about what's coming up.
If it lets me go back one moment. Okay, there we go.
Okay, so for the photo contest, other things to know, entries are due by October 9th. This year we prefer if you mail in your entry and it just has to be postmarked by that date. We need a printed 8-inch by 10-inch photo along with your entry form, and then we prefer if you email a digital copy to the email address on the entry form as well. And then, you know, photos can range from anything we talked about in today's program, plants and wildlife and insects, to landscapes, to recreation is another thing we included within it. And like Jenny's, like we mentioned earlier, it can be taken in any season. It just needs to be taken on the refuge. And every year the photo contest is usually, entries are due in early October. So you can always keep an eye out for next year's photo contest as well.
So if someone misses out by October 9th, they can take a picture and send it in for the next year.
Yeah, yep.
Awesome. I still don't see any other questions coming in.
Okay.
So I don't know if we want to move to the next, just a preview of our upcoming program.
Yeah. So we invite you to tune in next Thursday and join us for our fall bird program. It'll be Thursday, September 17th, and it'll be that morning time slot of 10 a.m. Central Daylight Time. And Ranger Chris is going to talk about some places and habitat types to look for birds on the refuge during their fall migration. This year we were unable to host our in-person bird tours, so we're shifting to virtual. That program will also be recorded similar to today's program.
Awesome. Yeah, and I don't, there aren't any other questions, so I don't know. I suppose we are going to be posting this to the Friends Facebook page. So if anyone ends up with any questions, maybe they watch it later or they think of a question when they're out trying to take photos on the refuge, you can certainly post a comment in the comments section and we'll get back to you when we see it and when we get a good answer for it.
So with that, you know, Jenny and I encourage you to get out on the refuge. And you use some of these tips and tricks. You can always review the recording if you need to, and get out and try to find some great action and wildlife opportunities.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Well, thanks so much for watching. Everybody have a good weekend.